All right, I'm live. I'm live. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Anyone watching on a recording, by the way, I very much appreciate you being here. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And also, if you are watching on a recording, please make sure that you do comment. If you're watching on Facebook, well, even if you're watching on Substack or on YouTube, please comment, especially on Facebook. Facebook has a nice feature where you can sort the comments by newest added or in real time. I forget what they call it, but if you're watching a replay, you can sort the comments to to come up as you're watching, which also means that as you watch those comments and you make a comment, they will give a timestamp to it, and it will say, oh, right. So when I see you comment and it says at, 35 minutes, I go to 35 minutes and I can see what I'm talking about, what you're commenting on. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Yes, Ramzi, Ramzi, let me just get Norma here. Norma was, I think she's on a replay. So brilliant, brilliant, Ramzi. Ramzi, you're welcome to come on Zoom, by the way, if you want to. We can chat there. Since I saw you on Zoom over there by Matt, say, man, you can just well be on Zoom here too. It's up to you. It's up to you. I don't know how busy you are, what you're doing, but just so you know, that's always an option. You're more than welcome always. Norma, where are you? Where are you? You're on the wrong Zoom, Norma. You're on yesterday's one. You have to wait until this one starts. Brilliant, brilliant. So yeah, feel free to come. Feel free. Again, you come anytime. No pressure. I love it when you're in comments. You come on Zoom. That's good too. It's just a different interactivity, of course. So it's very cool, very cool. I was saying though, in terms of when you make comments or anybody, if you're watching a replay, don't think because it's not live that your comments don't matter. No, they do. They matter a great deal and they are very important. And I am inordinately diligent, like 100% diligent on following on those comments. If Facebook shows me a notification, says somebody commented, I go there. Right, and I respond to the comments. So it's a big deal to me, the comments. I take them very, very seriously. So I really welcome the comments. I enjoy them tremendously. They're a very big deal. So please, comment, because, it's not that you have to say something important or valuable. No, get rid of that idea right away. No, the comments are about sharing. It's about connectivity. It's about community. Yes. So this is a massively important issue when you comment, right? It makes for us to connect. And I like that connectivity. It's what this live series is about. Norma! Norma's in the house. Yes, Norma. You are free today. Brilliant, Ramzi. Brilliant. So, Ramzi, I saw that it was Ramzi Najjar, not Najjar. So is the R pronounced as an F? Or is the F pronounced as an R? I'm most curious to know. Unless it was just a typo. F is under R, so it's quite possible. Come on, Facebook. I'm trying to get back there. I was sharing it and it took me away, so I can't see your comments. So hold on, Ramzi, I'm getting there. Share this Roisha with me. What do you mean? What do you mean, Norma? What's Roisha? You're talking about my red vest? Set up? Can you see? Yes, very fancy. I put them on sometimes and people say, oh, what's the event? And I say, well, it's today. You don't need an excuse to dress the way you enjoy dressing, right? Red wine, Rosa. Oh, I don't know. I don't have red wine, so I'm not sure. Oh, no. I was asking about Ramzi's last name, Najjar. is it an R or an F? Because he was on another Zoom, and on that Zoom, his name was spelled Ramzi Najjar with an F on the end, not an R. So I was just being observant, my life detective skills coming into play. Noticed there. So I like to know. Now, it could be that it was just a typo, and we're going to see, because Ramzi's coming on now, I believe. Yeah, he's busy joining now, so we're going to get to hear this. So I'm thrilled you here, Norma. I absolutely thrilled you here as always. I love that you're here, Norma. I love that you are here. I just love talking to you, Norma. I love talking to you. And so it's a big deal that you're here. Doesn't matter what you do. I'm just sharing with you, So this is a great deal. It's a big deal for me. Where you, Ramzi? I saw you joining. I clicked admit, but it says joining, but I guess Zoom is being difficult. We'll just wait a bit for Ramzi. I just wanted to finish on that point about sharing. To share is a big deal, and to connect is a big deal, and just to share what's in your heart. This is a big deal. Just what you're feeling, what you're thinking. This is communion. This is community. There's always more in there somewhere, right? So we're never going to be in a negative space when we share, right? All depends on the motivations. If you're sharing for the pure joy of sharing, then this is wonderful. This is a very profound thing. It's a good space to be in, and to realize that we can share, right? And just share. That's it. You don't have to have a reason for it. Sharing is its own magic, right, Norma? Does that make sense what I'm saying, Norma? It's a very big deal. So where am I? Where am I? Oh, you know what? I put part 1 and it's part 2. Oh dear. Oh dear. I titled it wrong, Norma. I hope I can correct that. You see, it says part 1 there, but it's my mistake. I need to edit that. We're in part 2. We did part 1 yesterday. Yeah. So I have to fix it in all the places that I shared it to. Brilliant. Ramzi, where are you, Ramzi? Where are you? Where are you? You got to be observant. Got to be observant, Norma. It's important, I find. I shouldn't say you got to be. I just find it very valuable for me to share. I don't want to be saying, this is for everybody. No, for me, I like being observant. I get lots of value out of it. Like in this case, I'm paying attention to Ramzi's name. And well, I noticed it because I've trained my brain to notice things which are different, odd, unusual, that stick out, that change, that aren't the same as the typical pattern. Because in that's where newness lies, that's where moreness lies, that's where anomalies are, right? So that's where we learn. So I always notice things, because you can train your brain to notice that which is different, that which is out of the ordinary, unusual, exceptional, and so on. It's a very, very useful skill, because, of course, anomalies are profoundly different and unusual. And it's amazing how we cannot notice anomalies. It is incredible how we cannot notice. Yes, Ramzi again. Very good, Ramzi. I'm glad you tried again. I'm glad you tried again. It is important to try again. Yeah, if it doesn't work the first time on Zoom, he's got to do it again. There we go. There we go. Ramzi in the house. Very good. Ramzi looking very sober and very serious. So now you've got to mute Facebook. Otherwise, you're going to have a loop, right? You got to mute Facebook. Otherwise, we'll hear you twice. There you go. Now you can watch the comments on Facebook and chat over here. Fantastic, Ramzi. Fantastic, Ramzi. Norma, is it just me, or does Ramzi look nice and vigorous and fit and healthy? Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's just me. Looking good, Ramzi. Looking good. It's good to see, man. Looking good. That's excellent.
Yeah,
I mean, not from a point of looking good, but if one is vigorous and healthy, that means life is good. Yes.
yeah. I've been a kickboxer for 20 years, Syl. So basically, I should look good in a way.
Yeah. You've been a kickboxer, you say?
Yeah, for 20
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
now.
Oh, wow. 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 Good deal, man. Good deal. Good deal. But, it's more than just physical fitness. That's why I said vigorous. You can be physically fit, but not necessarily have vigor. Vigor is an internal thing. It's a lust for life, a joy, an eagerness. Yes, I mean, it's also physical, but there's more to it than that, right? So my comment was your physicality was reflecting that, it seems to me life is good. You're happy with life. Everything is okay. Yeah. There may be a few
Yeah,
things you need
exactly.
to solve and figure out, I would guess, but on the whole, life was pretty good, yeah?
Exactly. We have a saying in Arabic which goes like the healthy mind is in a healthy body.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Exactly, exactly. It's very key, very, very, very key, very important, very critical, very critical. Norma, just trying to sort all the sharing and that out, because I made a mistake earlier. I put part one, not part two, so I need to go and correct that real quick so that there's not misinformation out there. So that when Norma says, you know what, where are you, Syl? I need to find you, then you can find it by the title, and that's accurate. So I'm nearly done. Ramzi, I'm curious to hear more comments on that discussion on freedom.
Still basically it went in another direction there with Mark.
Yeah,
So we started with freedom, we ended up with something else
yeah,
about childhood and
yeah,
so on. So I'm
yeah,
not,
yeah,
I wasn't basically connecting to the whole
yeah,
conversation.
yeah, yeah. So I find this important, and that's why I try to do in our conversations here, in the week especially, to make this effort to finish the point, to come to resolution. Yeah. So,
Exactly. The discussion
uh,
should have a direction.
yeah, yeah. And some sort of resolution. You may come to a point, okay, we can't go any further, and then we start on something new. But don't just be jumping from topic to topic, because otherwise you get nowhere. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. With a Zoom, like you did, you just have to do it and do again, right? So, Norma, I love your comments, Norma. I love it. I love it. I love Norma's unfiltered honesty. It's a great joy. It's a great joy, Norma. You know that? It's a great joy. It's very important too. Yeah, yeah. Brilliant, brilliant. So this key issue of being attentive to, I call it the center column. Know what your center column is, and then you come back. But if we don't have this intent to resolution, then we basically just churn our wheels. And I have noticed this, especially see it on TV. Oh, we're out of time. They never ever resolve anything, and they churn the same issues over and over and over again. And people do the same thing. Right? They come, they have a wonderful discussion, and it's like, oh yes, but they didn't finish it. If it's not finished, your body won't use it. Your inner brain, I call them the inner bureaucrats, they won't use it because it's not finished. It's not resolved yet. It's like you busy figuring out your plans to build a house, right? And you're drawing up the plans, and you do the engineering and the architecture, and it's like more or less. And well, there's more I need to do. How can you go build a house? The inspector won't let you because he says, hey, you haven't finished this year. The house could collapse, right? So how can you implement what's not yet come to resolution, what's not finished? You cannot. You can't go and build the house until you've actually finished the plans. Right? It's the same thing with all of these discussions. They in the same vein as drawing up a plan. A plan only is a plan once it's finished. Before that, it's just an idea. Right? So if you don't go all the way through, come to resolution, you're just totally wasting your time, which is why you hear me say so consistently as a key aspect of way of impeccability is to think things through to the end. And that to the end has to be capitalized, has to shout that. Right? Things through to the end. It's very key to
Yeah,
get to the
exactly.
end. Very key, very key,
The
very key.
building should follow. The building should follow the foundations.
Well, it changes, Norma. Exactly. The building should follow the foundations precisely. And if you don't have absolutely appropriate foundations, you're also wasting your time. You can have a foundation that's sort of okay, and then you build on that, and you can build a building, but later on you're going to have problems. So we've got to really make sure on the foundations. Ryan, who sometimes comes, you may have seen him on Sundays,
Yeah.
Ryan and Janelle. Ryan was in the business of actually repairing foundations. They would lay them too, but they often were called into, they were at foundation construction, his father's business, and where they dealt with foundations. So a lot of times they had to go and fix foundations, which is of course a huge, great big deal. It's not a simple matter to do. Just do it right in the first place, because fixing it is very, very difficult and problematic. And not always
Yeah.
can foundations be fixed. Sometimes you just have to say, nope, sorry, you have to scrap the house. No. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Very powerful, very powerful. Fun stuff, fun stuff. So I love that, we have this intent to resolution, that we want to say, like I said earlier in that other Zoom, right? In the other live. Discernment on its own, not enough. It needs to go somewhere, right? And just as a point of interest, in earlier things, I brought this concept of discernment out there, and I'm glad they are using it now. So, but it starts with awareness, then discernment, then understanding, and it leads to application. So we want to take that process always and say, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to use it? Because if I'm not using it, it doesn't really mean much, right? Has
Yeah,
to mean
sure.
something. Has to mean something. All right. So Ramzi, you're going to help me today. You know that, yeah?
Yeah, sure. No worries.
I love that. I love that. You're going to help me read. So your job today is to interrupt me. How about that?
Okay. How many times you need me to interrupt you? Just tell me.
Every single time you have a thought, an idea, a stimulation, a consequence, an implication, a connection, to say, a meaning, right? So that's what because what we do in the week here is a capital R reading, and that's what capital R reading means. We are reading past what the words say. We are reading the meaning. We are reading the intent. We are reading the implications. We are reading the connections, right? We are reading the consequences. We are reading what the author might mean. We are reading what the reader might read. Yes, we are reading what we read, and we are going to read what others in general, at least as far as we understand, may read, right? So which is very useful, because when we read with the understanding of what's generally understood and what's specifically meant, what we mean, we can get so many extra layers of meaning and understanding, right? So we're going to get all sophisticated on this. So I want to hear, whenever something comes up, we say, oh. And then you jump in, right? For me, I can't be interrupted. It's a non-issue. I practice this all the time. So I just start and I go back to where I was. I read again. It's a non-issue. So it's not really interrupting. I say that, but not really. I'm just for the fun of it. I say that. So I'm really keen to hear like what you see as implications, what you think as consequence. And I'll give some examples when I read here. So let me share. Norma, before I get going, is there anything that you wish to comment on? Anything to say as before we're going? We want them to last for future brain archaeologists. Yes. Well, hopefully the brain doesn't rot too fast. You have to have a preserved brain, so we need pickled brains for that to be true. Right? I mean, you have to have a preserved brain. All right, so I'm going to start with this poem here, Ramzi, and then you tell me what comes up in you, and feel free to stop anytime. I don't have to read it to the end, right? Again, right, the poem starts B. You might potentially say, well, what do you mean by B? Like no, Bina has this thing with B. It's like, B, just B. That's not so easy, Syl. What do you mean exactly by this? What does B mean? Yeah,
Be
is that a
yourself.
question for you or not?
Be yourself. Be whatever you believe in. No.
Yeah. So be in this context, when you really get into it, for me, that says, when it says be, just be, I think of what rhymes with this. Be, just be like tree. You look at a tree. What is a tree doing? No, the thing it's doing is being a tree. That's the doing of a tree, right? So being and doing are very much related, but being is existing in a way that's deliberate, not just rolling in the wind, yeah, like a tumbleweed or a leaf. So being is the deliberate act of existing without needing to physically impact the environment in any way.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the doing, like,
doing cannot be materialized without being.
exactly, exactly. Exactly. The two are very intimately related. But we can do without having being as a thing that we are specifically doing. Yes. In other words, I can go around adjusting this, mending this, interfering here, doing whatever. And because I don't have being, I don't have treeness, as it were, I'm just doing what I think is supposed to be. I'm not content. I'm not content to just be. So to be, just be, implies contentment, satisfaction, independence of being, non-insecurity, all of this. Yes. Imagine if a tree was insecure. That would be a horrible existence, would it not?
It would, yes.
So if you're going to be a tree, you better not be insecure. So to be is, by implication, don't be insecure. In other words, have your stuff together, right? Have yourself sorted out, right? Or in street language, get your shit together. Yes, there's no better expression for it, really. So in order to be, we've got to get ourselves sorted. We've got to get rid of our indulgences, our nonsense, our fears, our idiocies, our silly habits, all the stuff, right? It's not an impossible job. It's not an impossible job as many think it is, right? It's just an excuse for them to cling to that when they say, oh, it's impossible. Nonsense. It's not impossible at all, right? So to be is a big deal, but this poem goes further. I mean, that first line is a very classic spiritual line, to be, just be. But this poem takes it a little bit further. Being you, just you, that is enough. I will be me, and that is enough. Then we can be we, and that will be more than you and more than me. But first, we need just be. I absolutely love this poem. Absolutely love this poem because it's talking about 1+1 = more. Yes. And it's also talking about the fundamental first principle of relationships. If you wish to be in a successful relationship, you need to know how to be, to just be. You need, in other words, treeness. You need independence of being. If you don't have that, you're going to have a hard time in your relationship. Yes. And to understand that even though if you are just in yourself, that it's enough to just be yourself. You can be and I can be and we can both be happy. But when we connect and then we can collaborate and be together, our togetherness makes a moreness, makes a forest that is more than the sum of the trees. Yes. Norma, did you see what I saw? Norma, did you see what I saw? Horrors beyond horrors. There it is again. There it is again. Oh no. Oh, I'm just giving Ramzi a hard time for smoking. At least Ramzi has the good grace to be a bit abashed, since the word abashed came up somewhere in this. I just teasing you, Ramzi. I can't resist the opportunity. I don't care. It's your body. It's your life. You know, I'm not anti-smoking. I smoked for 15 years. You know, I gave it up when I was 25.
Well, now I gave it up because I used to smoke cigars. Now I'm smoking
Ah,
cigarettes. So
all
basically,
right.
it's very light
Relative
effect.
improvement. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I did smoke cigars when I could as a teenager. You know,
Yeah,
wanting to be older and more sophisticated than I was. But anyway, it's all idea, running after ideas. I remember going to bars and stuff. The drinking age was 18. And getting into bars before the age of 18. Oh man, this was like, the biggest thing ever, the bigger, or a nightclub or whatever. So I had all these tricks to get in. So one day we're going with my friends, right? So one of my tricks was I had a bank card, and it looked like a credit card, but it really was a debit card. It wasn't even a debit card. It was like a bank access card. You couldn't actually run it through anything to do it. It was just when I went to the bank, like I think I could put it in the ATM and maybe get my money or whatever. But anyway, it looked like a credit card. And this was in the early 80s, sorry, late 70s, I'm talking, right? Yeah, mid to late 70s. I got it in 76, actually. And, at that time,
Yeah.
there weren't even ATMs in America yet. So ATMs started in South Africa. A lot of people don't know that. Anyway, it's a secondary point. So anyway, so I had this card and I had my own bank account from that age already. So anyway, another long story. So what I would do is now we're walking up to the desk at the nightclub, right? And I would take out my wallet and have the card there, and I would kind of flash it and said, "Oh, do you accept these cards?" And then they're like, "And look, never mind, I'll just pay cash." Right? Because at that time, the only people who could have a credit card was 18 and older, right? So by implication, I've got to be 18 if I'm flashing a credit card. Ah, man. So, also you could only drive cars at 18. So one day we're going to be in a group of my friends. So as we walk up, I turned to my friend and I said, "Hey, did you make sure to lock the car? I don't want us to have our car stolen." And he says, "What car?" Ah, Jesus, really seriously, dude, come on, there you just blow the whole gig. Stupid things you do as a teenager, stupid things you do as a teenager. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
The best times ever.
Yeah, I guess so. You can survive stupidity as a teenager, precisely. Precisely. It's the best time to be stupid as a teenager. But, I think stupidity is overrated in its negativity, in its downside. I find that I'm regularly stupid and, I'm so, intimately acquainted with my stupidity. It's not a big deal anymore. Okay, so I was stupid and I learn and then I move on. That's the key, is to learn and move on. If I find myself repeating my stupidity, that's when I pay attention, right?
Exactly.
I almost never make the same mistake twice, really and truly. When I make that first mistake, I never do it. It goes so deep in my brain that emphasis really imprints it as a very powerful thing, and I don't do it again. It's very useful, that imprinting. Anyway, having fun with Ramzi smoking. I used to love blowing smoke rings. That's was I just used to get great joy out of that. And I won a great many bets with making smoke rings too. So part of that culture, I don't know, it's not maybe a culture in your part of the world, but the pub culture, or night, or it's just, a lot of you in the pool rooms and places like that. So making bets is kind of a big deal, you make a bet, you can get, either money or drinks or whatever. So I would bet people that I could blow 100 smoke rings from one drag. And I said, "Well, yeah, sure, anybody can blow 100 smoke rings. You just keep smoking till you're done. It's like no big deal." No, 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 no. From one drag, 100 smoke rings. Yeah. Do you think it's
Well,
possible,
that's
Ramzi?
quite amazing.
Would you take
Sorry?
the bet? Would you take the bet?
Well, basically, you quit smoking, no?
No, no, I know. But if I said to you, like if I said to you, "Hey, Ramzi, we're hanging out. Let's say we have a barbecue." And I say, "I got a bet for you, Ramzi. I bet you, I see you smoking." I say, "I bet you I could blow 100 smoke rings from one drag of the cigarette, right? And I can still do it now, even though I don't smoke. I can still do it. Would you take that bet?" I said, "Okay, we'll put $100 on it. Let's make it
Well, I would
serious."
take it. Yeah. I would take it. If you win, I win.
Oh, interesting. How do you mean? How do you mean? Yeah. How do you mean? I don't follow you.
Basically, I'm telling you, if you win, is like I won.
Oh, I see. All right, all right, all right. Anyway, but I mean, do you think it's possible that I could blow 100 smoke rings? Now, in the nature of these types of bets, there's always a trick to it, right? But the
Yeah.
trick has to be a genuine, legitimate trick, right? And I'll show.
Yeah.
I'll explain in a moment. So I first want to know if you think it's possible or not.
Well, I think it could be possible, but I take smoking more seriously. Basically, I don't play with it, So it's
Okay, all right. All right. Yeah, fair enough. But still, in the nature of the fun bet, most people who do this and who understand blowing a smoke ring, it's usually like the big ring, right? and
Yeah,
make a ring.
exactly.
All right, so to do 100, not possible. But see, I didn't say what size smoke ring. I just said 100 smoke rings. So what I do is I take the drag and I go like this. I make 100. When you do that, it pops out little smoke rings. You can try it. Just take the drag and we make a
Yeah,
round
well,
thing with you.
small.
When you just tap
Yeah,
on
but
the, you just tap on the
I
cheek
never
and it
tried
pops
it.
them out. And
Yeah,
they come
I
out really fast. And they say, oh, they got to count, they got to count. And they don't even bother to get to 100 because they can see it's no problem, you know. So, yeah. Yeah. Just fun
they
stuff. Fun stuff.
couldn't
I used to
follow
enjoy.
the count.
What's that? Say again?
They can't follow the count, basically. They can't
Exactly,
follow the
exactly.
counting.
Exactly. But they always appreciated it because that's a clever bet, you see. I mean, they never thought of that. And they can't say, oh, are you cheating me? You know, this is some kind of, no, I mean, it's genuine, right? And they always appreciate the cleverness of the bet. So it was always a fun one to do. And what I liked about it is that it's perspective shifting, right? So when you're just thinking of things slightly differently and you're being creative, and that was great fun for me. I had many things like that. It's just one that comes up now because I saw you smoking. But you know, that creativity and thinking outside the box, and also like Biella was saying in when we were talking about ethics, at least the point came up. I don't know if she said it specifically, but she implied it. She says there's more than one way to tell the truth.
Exactly.
It's a very important statement because many people think there's only one way to tell the truth. And when they have to tell it in a different way, they feel like they're lying. It's not lying to tell the truth in a different way. It's simply telling the truth in a different way. It's not lying. And it's very important to understand because people get stuck when they feel they need to tell the truth in one way only. And that's just, like blunt. Who says you have to be blunt to tell the truth? Where's the art of capital D diplomacy? Being kind, being caring, being considerate. No, there's many, many ways to tell the truth. And as we're going to come to this capital diplomacy later on, I've got a whole course and a program on it. It's a big deal. So anyway, back to the poem. This poem is about relationships and about collaboration and about communion. Yes. So Norma says nothing else, and then she says, "Do we need that huge picture? Which one? The one behind me or the one behind the poem?" We can't see Ramzi now with all the other. Oh, all right. Well, it's because I'm screen sharing Bina, Norma. So yeah, when I screen share, then Ramzi goes small. Yeah, yeah. Norma says, I had my hand over my eyes. It looks good and tidy now. Ramzi, then you need a beard to cover the burns. Oh, I'm not sure exactly what Norma means, but all right. Yeah. So if I screen share like this, Norma, then you're not going to see us big. We'll just be in the little pictures on the corner. All right. So let's start reading. So jump in anytime. You see, like I would jump in on myself on that poem. Anything that comes to you, Ramzi. And I'm just keen to hear inside your brain. In other words, yeah, those inner thoughts. Biella and Camellius recapped in the garden of celebration. A bright and lovely garden, all the flower colors represented in a variety of shapes and patterns. Now, see right there, actually, on that very first sentence, there was an implication for me. They recapped. How many times in our conversations do we ever recap? Very seldom.
We
Yes.
hardly do. We
Yeah,
hardly do it.
exactly. And it's important to recap, especially here. So in Way of Impeccability, you know, I keep referencing this because it's the core of everything that the story is based on. So this is, and Biala's mentioned it before, repeat backs and takeaways. A repeat back is that recap, but in your own words, not as a verbatim thing. It's in your own words to say, this is what I understand you to mean, which doesn't mean I necessarily agree or disagree. That's not part of the point of the recap. The recap is just to confirm that I actually did hear you and what you were trying to say. Because so often what we say is not what we mean to say, and then furthermore, what others hear us saying is not what we intended to say. So that recap lets us get onto the same page. So very, very powerful.
Recapping,
Very, very powerful.
basically, recapping helps memorizing things. So basically, when
Exactly.
you recap it, so you put it
Exactly.
in your memory shelf in a way you can
right,
basically
right,
recall it the
right,
right way.
right. So let's get sophisticated on that. It's not so much about memory as it is about tagging and associations, right? So it's about filing the information. If your computer information is filed, tagged, associated appropriately, you give a nice file name, you can find the information easily. The brain is exactly the same way, right? So when you understand something, you really, really understand it. You actually don't need to remember, because you understand it. You can just create it. You can figure it out next time from scratch, right? It comes automatically. You can construct the truth. You don't need to remember. So understanding those recaps help you to really, really understand. And once you get it, once you know it, what's to remember? Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. It's like, once you know how to cook, you don't specifically remember. You may come and you make spaghetti, but today I'm going to make it a little different. I don't remember any recipe. It's just I understand how it works. I do it, and I can mix and match and change and chop and whatever, because I understand the overall process, right? Which allows me
Yeah,
to have creative variation. Go ahead.
it comes automatically basically to you.
Exactly, 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 exactly. It's very powerful. So recaps, and in other words, repeat backs are very powerful. Recap is a bit of a summary. A repeat back might be a bit more in detail, but they have the same elements. So very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. So again, I'm just illustrating this process. Comment on everything that has some implication to it. The trees light and airy, reaching tall, as if cheering each passerby. Fountains of all shapes and sizes everywhere. Along the paths and near the fountains, special motion-activated sprouts shot bursts of colored and shaped water into the air as someone approached. The spouts would activate another spout where they landed, leading to a joyful dance of leaping water sprites romping across the garden with leaps and bounds of sheer delight. That should be see, some editing there, right? Motion activate. Just my editor coming out. So now we could look at the implication of this from a writing point of view. Why say all of this? It's just to give the mood and to show the intent of these gardens, that whoever made this garden is going a little further. Right? There's not just fountains. These fountains are interactive with the people and the number of people too. So you get a compounding interactivity, which is very, very useful, especially when you're interacting and discussing, to understand that the more engaged, those engagements have consequences and set of other engagements. So we have to be somewhat judicious and careful when we're doing this. Yes. So there's a deeper point to it here, right? And we're going to see this in the conversation coming up with the aspirants, where yes, they've got lots of questions and they're sharing and they're giving their perspectives, but at some point they say we got to leave it. We got to hear from Ursula, right? Because too many will kill it, right? So they understand that. Yeah. But isn't that a fun idea though, right? Of little water sprouts, and when they come, it activates more, and then and as more people enter the garden, they keep going, and the things just starts compounding, right? And you get stuff leaping and going crazy all over the show after a while, and going higher and further. So it's that thinking things through a little bit to the end, going a little deeper is the point of that description. The architects there was a thoughtfulness that they were thinking further than just putting up a fountain, right? As more entered the garden, the spouts would combine and interact, becoming thicker or shooting higher, going further or staying longer in the air, which is the same thing as their conversations, right? When crowds entered, the display would be dizzying in its complexity. Great bursts of water, often spinning and twisting in intricate patterns, could be seen shooting high into the sky, over and around the tall trees. A spectacular display of pure celebration. And of course, it's also about celebration. Biella chose this garden for them to meet up. Now, this is the following day after Ursula's declaration, right? The last chapter was, Ursula said, I want to be an aspirant. And then they all said, oh, well done, Ursula. And they went off to go and celebrate in the eating hall. This is now the day after, but she's still celebrating because this is a monumental shift in everything. Ursula deciding to be wanting to be an aspirant. A magnificent garden. Biella loved it dearly. She'd chosen the garden in honor of Ursula's decision to become an aspirant. Biella was early. She loved first light in the garden, the way it caught small bursts of water, which would only be seen when she was there alone. Her leisurely amble brought her unexpectedly to Camillus. Immersed in himself, he expressed his thoughts out loud. So Camillus doing a little bit of a different thing. You ever do that, Ramzi? Talk to yourself in the third person?
Basically, I always do it, Syl. I
Oh,
always
wow.
check.
Oh, wow.
I always check myself from an objective point of view. So basically, I don't leave myself. I don't leave myself to whatever feelings I have and so on. So I always analyze everything from third party point of view.
We have to. We have to. We have to develop that third party view. Otherwise, we get, like you say, we get mired or lost in subjectivity. And it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. It's that inadvertent arrogance I was talking about in the other life. Yeah.
Yeah,
We have to be
because
so careful of it.
if you keep basically feeling whatever is inside and acting based on yourself alone, so basically you wouldn't be able to judge whether it's right or wrong in a way. When you view it from the outside, it would be more objective.
Exactly. And to acquire and cultivate objectivity, this is a profoundly valuable way, investment of time. Yeah, very worthwhile.
Yeah,
Very, very
basically
worthwhile.
I
Very huge.
learned to neutralize myself, so I don't take me as me. I take myself as neutral, and I judge
Yes.
myself from the outside.
Yes, exactly. From an efficiency, effectiveness, sobriety point of view, from an impeccability point of view, precisely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very powerful. Do you want to read Camillus's lines?
Yeah, basically we start from more has been.
Yes. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll read the narrator and Biella's lines, and you read Camillus. Biella heard him say, go ahead, you're reading his line. That's his line.
Yeah, Biella heard him say, more has been introduced than has been settled. I think Camillus is probably a huge dolt. So doltish Biella's confused it for understanding. Unfazed Biella said,
Okay. I was going to say we can interchange, right? I'll read the narrator and you read Camillus's lines, and I'll read Biella and the narrator, and we interchange.
Okay, sure.
Right. Yeah. So unfazed, Biella said, haha, no, he is so awesome. Biella instantly adopted one of Camillus's favorite self-exploration techniques, which provided a unique perspective on himself and on his actions. Camillus had not even looked up or reacted to a comment. She stayed with his style. I love how he summed it up at the end. Remember, he is helping Biella. He's acting as a bridge to the delegates. I love him. Give him a bit of slack until it's all done. Camillus says, it's your line.
Yeah,
Ramzi?
people who think being highly intuitive must make everything so easy aren't seeing the downside of it. You still have to make it explicit to yourself. That can really slow you down, as you have to come back to the answer again and again, looking at it from various perspectives to try to and figure out how you go from A to B, or as is most often the case, from A to C, Camillus said.
Biella added, and then the extra time to recap, to bring it all into full awareness. But the rewards, intuition opens us, connects to so much.
Yes, the rewards. Once understanding is finally reached, it's very solid, real. Not easy to forget, Camillus agreed.
It's the most crucial issue, Biella said gently. I love what Camellia says here. That's why I'm enjoying you reading it, right? Noma, isn't it nice when you hear Camellia through Ramzi? It's really cool. It's really cool. You know, this point that being highly intuitive must make things easy. No, because an intuitiveness just means you get a conclusion. But if you don't figure out how you got to that conclusion, then you're going to be lost. The intuition will give you that conclusion really quickly, but you still have to do the backtracking, the unraveling. Otherwise, that conclusion is based on nothing. So you still have to do that figuring it out, right? You have to make it explicit to yourself, right? You have to figure it out. You have to do unwind. You have to reverse engineer what your intuition brought you. So it's saying, here's something valuable, now figure it out. It's like, here's the alien technology, reverse engineer it to figure out how it works. Yeah, yeah. Isn't that beautiful? Norma says, very well spoken, Ramzi. Yeah, it's a joy. It's a joy. I enjoy this when we read and we do the different characters. It's really fun. It's really fun. So she says, this, once understanding is finally reached, Biella says, it's very solid and real, not easy to forget. Sorry, that's Camellia says that. Yes, the rewards. And because that's the key. It's thinking it through to the end and perspective shifting to multiple perspectives. This takes work. This takes work. It's the most critical issue. Yeah. Camellia straightened, stood up, a delayed greeting response. He seemed to have come to a resolution. Yeah, go.
Camellia straightened, stood up.
Sorry, Ramzi, let me just pour you.
Yep.
I'm reading the narrator. That's the narrator. So you're just reading
Okay.
when it's in, the actual comments by. So when I pause like that, I'm cueing you, right? So that's what I'm saying, right? So he seemed to have come to a resolution.
Yes.
Yeah, go with the O. It is manipulated. That's his line.
Oh, it is manipulated thoroughly and completely, but not by us, by the universe. That's what the learning process is. That's how and why it's successful. The learning process is a process by which we allow the universe to manipulate the situation. This is why international self-serving manipulation, intentional self-serving manipulation scheming is so egregious. This is a new word, basically.
Egregious. Yes, it's a great word.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I must search it out.
Yeah, I'll explain it in a moment.
It subverts the possibility of allowing the universe to control the situation. So it is actually against our own interest. In disallowing the universal input by replacing it with their own, they practically ensure failure of the project.
Yes, Camellias. I love, right? He says, this is why intentional, in other words, self-chosen, deliberate, self-serving, manipulation scheming is so egregious. And egregious means beyond the what is excessive. Right, so like when somebody tells like is egregiously rude, they're going way out and above. It's not just like they're burping in polite society, right? That's sort of a rudeness you can accept. But egregious is if you like vomit on the table. See, so it's really excessive beyond. But egregious is not just, it's in a negative sense, right? You're overstretching the limits of proprietary sensibility, goodness, impeccability, whatever you want to say, right? So egregious is like, it's really bad, in other words, right? But he's saying that, yes, but it's a negative exaggeration, egregious, right? It's not just exaggeration. It's particularly in a negative sense, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, if I say, okay, well, we had a dinner guest and he was a bit rude at table, and you say, well, he burped while big deal, okay, not the end of the world. But if this person vomited on the table and thought nothing about it, like, well, that's pretty egregious, right? I mean, it's really extreme, in other words, right? Egregious. It's past the point of sensibility and acceptability. But he's saying, It's why intentional self-serving manipulation scheming is so egregious. And most people do this self-serving and manipulation scheming. They do it as a matter of course. This is what their lives are. They're always doing some manipulative type of scheming for their own self-interest, right? How do I get ahead? How do I get something? How do I get promotion? How do I get advanced? How do I get noticed? How do I get status? How do I look clever? How do I sound clever? Blah, blah, right? All of that is self-serving manipulation scheming. But he's saying it's egregious, not just bad or negative, but egregious because it subverts or destroys or undermines. Subversion is coming from inside, right? Subverts the possibility of allowing the universe to control the situation. What a statement. What a statement. And this has come from something that the actual person who I was discussing with us at the time, we had long conversations on this, and I shared with him the new Nobility's philosophy and understanding of how the universe is essentially here to assist us in the development and enhancement of awareness, right? So when we understand that, and is this universal intent, then everything changes, right? And this is not something you need to believe. You can go out and test it for yourself. You can just use that as a hypothesis and then observe everything that happens in your life through this lens. You say, oh, I see. Oh, yeah, this is happening because it's helping me to enhance my awareness. Oh, now it makes sense, right? Then everything starts to make sense when we start to understand it. But he's saying that if you are doing self-serving manipulation scheming, it subverts or it destroys the possibility of the universe being in charge and bringing you moreness. So you cut off the universe from giving you moreness when you follow your own little petty, childish, trivial, idiotic agendas, right? Those self-serving manipulation scheming agendas. It kills the universe's ability to give you the gifts of moreness, right? So it is
Yeah,
actually
basically,
against our own interest, he says. Go ahead.
yeah, basically it kills the submission process you were talking about in Matt's AMA.
Yeah.
You talked
Yeah.
about submission. So basically you should
Right.
submit to the universal laws. You
Exactly.
cannot,
But not some. Right. So I made the point there. Yes, like you using submit appropriately here now, which is to say I'm allowing the universe, but that submit doesn't mean that I am saying I have no thoughtfulness, I have no independence. I have to submit to the system of the universe. The system of the universe is one in which I need to decide for myself.
yeah, and the positivity which surrounds you, basically, which you can't see if you're
Exactly.
manipulating and scheming.
Exactly. Exactly. So I have to be looking at the bigger picture, and the submission comes to the overall sensibility. I'm submitting to the process of becoming self-aware and as aware as I possibly can. Right. So you see what
Exactly.
I'm saying? There's a submission, but the submission doesn't mean I give up control of my own responsibility to determine my own awareness. It's going by, it's just shifting your agenda from petty agenda to universal agenda. That's it. That's the key yet. If we do a really profound takeaway of what Camillus is saying here, right? This is a massive point, massive point. Right? When I attune to the universe's agenda, and I do so deliberately and willingly, right? Now I'm consciously choosing from the choices that the universe presents me. I'm surrendering to making choices based on what's coming from the universe, not from me. Yeah, different logic. So
Yeah,
it's a
basically,
surrender, but not a surrender. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
yeah, basically, it's a way to acquire more energy to become a better version of yourself and the higher self.
Exactly. 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 Very profound. Very profound. And see, way of impeccability. Why is it called way of impeccability, not way of awareness or way of moreness or way of attunement, way of appropriateness? But why way of impeccability? Because the core first definition of way of impeccability is best use of energy. That's what impeccability is, best use of energy. If we don't have the energy to be aware, we can forget about it. If we don't have the energy to choose, you can forget about it. You can forget anything, right? So it all starts with energy, which is why impeccability is the key, the glue that binds it all together.
Well,
It's very
basically,
key. Thank you.
I believe, Syl, there are so many energies around. So
Correct.
the best way
Correct.
is to filter what goes in and
Exactly.
get what's in your benefit in a way that you become a better you.
Exactly. Exactly. And see, now, best use of energy, it didn't just say your own energy, all energy. So part of life is learning how to use your energy to also use the energy that's around you, like surfing, right? The surfer paddles to catch the wave and then rides the wave. They're using their own energy, but they're also using the energy of the wave, right? That's life. There are lots of energies like waves around us that we need to learn to attune to and align with so that we can utilize them effectively and efficiently and not just get knocked about by them, right? Because if you like in a surfer, if you're not in the right spot, that wave's going to tumble you over and it's not going to be fun. Yeah. You're not going to be surfing. You're just going to be tumbled by the wave. So learning to surf life is best use of energy. Yes.
Yeah,
Rather
basically,
than just
I believe we are magnets in this universe because all what
yes.
basically all is electricity. So you attract from this universe whatever is surrounding you, but you must know how to pick whatever is in your favor and which makes you a better person. This is what I
Exactly.
believe.
Choice. We need the ability to choose, which is what discernment is. Discernment is the ability to choose sensibly, right?
Sure.
Not just
Yes.
to choose based on shallowness, based on the obvious, based on short-sighted thinking. No, discernment is looking at the multi-layers, the bigger picture, the larger connectivity, long-term. Yeah, understanding context and so on. The discernment is a profound thing. It's very, very profound. It's a very big deal. And yes, I love this last line of Camillus. He says, in disallowing the universal input by replacing it with their own, they practically ensure failure of the project. He's not just talking in general, right? And this is a very deep point and really interesting how Camillus fails to follow his own deep understanding. You'll see. Yeah. In disallowing the universal input by replacing it with their own, they practically ensure failure of the project. Camillus has already failed to live up to that. If we go back to where Ursula says, I want to be an aspirant, what does Camillus say? You remember? Were you there when we read that?
No, basically, I don't pay attention
All right,
to
all
that.
right. Let's go back to that line. Let's go back to that part. It's in the previous, it's at the end of the previous chapter. That's a very important point. That's why I wanted to bring it up here, right? So we're going to keep in mind here that of Camillus failing to pay attention to the input, right? This is the point that we're taking through to the end that we're researching now. So let me just go. It's at the very end of the chapter here. There's Camillus, the actual person, by the way. Can't quite see him. I messed with the picture a little bit, but still. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So here Ursula says, I would like to become a new noble. Ursula said suddenly, I want to be part of this. I want to get to the bottom of things and make a difference by living those truths. I can think of no higher calling than to live by example, to be a tree. I want to live that optimism. The playfulness which had emerged in her leveraged that last bit of resistance. Biella leapt up and hugged Ursula with all the generosity of her being, careful to include the delegates and Camillus in her awareness. She was in effect hugging Ursula for all of them, ensuring Ursula's declaration did not set her apart in any way. All right, there we go on a little bit here where some of, just Biella's opportunism, where she's using this opportunity to make Ursula the bridge between the delegates and the new nobility, right? And then she gets Ursula's agreement because this is the deep ethics of the situation. And then she teases the big woman. Ursula teases her. Again, Ursula being a bit playful and being childlike as well, right? So now, after all that, Biella internally goes, finally it falls into place. Because remember, in the start of chapter 3, there was this puzzle, like, is Ursula after more or not? And now we see what was the puzzle for Biella. And we're going to hear more on that, but now we've at least got a start of the resolution for this puzzle. Ursula was like really thinking about the new nobility herself and how it all works, right? So let's go and celebrate with a nice big meal, Biella said. Such a fantastic development. Biella marveled once again at how things worked out. So amazing, so amazing. The universe taking a hand in things. Here's the key point. Here's the key point, right? So now we have this profound shift of universal input, which is essentially Ursula coming out of the blue to say, I want to be an aspirant, right? This is an anomaly. This is kind of unusual. And Biella's reaction says it's unusual, right? And she says, I feel like a child again, Ursula said. Wonderful, dear, Camellia said, borrowing the affectionate endearment from the big woman, surprising everyone slightly. Many sides to Camellia's. Apparently, hooking his arms into the other side of Ursula, from where the big woman had done the same, they marched off to the eating hall, the other delegates scurrying to catch up, their enthusiasm taking hold, energizing the entire group. Now, here we come, right? You'll need to be a child again, Camillus was heard saying. It's the only way to acknowledge what we've so sincerely believed to be the be-all and end-all of everything. Is that right? It's the only way to acknowledge what we so sincerely believe to be the be-all and end-all of everything is actually somewhat naive. So if we take this very literally here, Camillus is saying he has been somewhat naive. He is somewhat naive. Why does this not apply to him? It's the only way to proceed without our old ego interfering. Bravo, Ursula, bravo. I wish I had the gumption and fortitude to do what you are doing. And letting go of our entrenched self is an accomplishment. In this whole comment here, of Camillus, yes, is he not doing what he said in that other point? He's overriding the universal input. Yes. Now, I can excuse the delegates from not deciding to be an aspirant because they don't necessarily have this full depth of awareness of what's involved. But Camillus does. He recognizes the profoundness of Ursula's behavior. Yeah. And he says you'll need to be a child again, right? In response to I feel like a child. But he confirms you'll need to be a child. It's the only way to acknowledge what we so sincerely believe to be the be-all and end-all of everything is actually somewhat naive. Now, if you take that sentence there and you take it with the sentence of where later coming a little later here, right? Where Ursula says it's somewhat humbling to realize that even though we've had the right of it all our lives, there's a more right of it. There's a more right to it. It's the same point. Yes. He's saying that only when you're a child can you acknowledge that the be-all and end-all that you thought everything was is actually a naive view of the world. This is exactly what when we hear from Ursula later, she's going to share. She's going to share how she came to realize she was, even though she's incredibly sophisticated, she's going to be the leader of a whole world and she's accomplished and wealthy and all this. She's actually naive. And when we listen to Camillus, you're going to hear the same thing. As sophisticated as Camillus is, he's also at the same time somewhat naive. Yeah. It's amazing. And he's aware that his old friend ego is interfering, but he doesn't recognize that Ursula's saying, I want to be an aspirant, was a gift of universal input for him. And there's more coming, as you'll see in the story. He fails to recognize this, that there's universal input at work. Why is he there with Ursula? Right? He's hooked in with her, arm, the big woman on the other side, and he's connected to her. It's like everything is putting some pressure on him to say, hey, you could do this too. There's nothing to stop him in that moment to say, I'll join you. Yeah. He even says it himself. I wish I could. I wish I had the gumption and fortitude. Listen to his words, gumption, right? Gumption is like when you're taking a chance. You're willing to risk things, right? And gumption is like initiative, gumption, right? And fortitude, that's like strength of character, right? It's like real solidity, power, fortitude, right? Like a fort, right? The quality of a fort, fortitude, to do what you are doing. Letting go of our entrenched self is an accomplishment. That line there is what the chapter and Ursula and the next one and the next couple of it leads all the way. It's a big deal. It's a major point in the story. This ability to let go of the entrenched self. It's something that I rarely see, and I wish I saw more of. It's one of the biggest stumbling blocks to everything. This inability to let go of the entrenched self. And there's no real good reason for it, as we're going to see with Ursula. There's no actual logic to what Camellia says here. He's understanding, he's describing the reality, but he's describing a reality that's, I think, did you earlier say we're all mad, Ramzi?
I didn't get you, Syl. Say again, please.
Oh, I said, did you earlier say we are all mad? I thought I heard you say we're all mad. No,
not mad, basically.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
believe in madness. Madness is a psychological state of mind.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is, sorry, okay, so I went on a sidetrack there because I thought you'd mentioned that, and I wanted to get into that. But never mind, then I misheard. But what he's saying, though, he's describing the reality, but there's no sensibility to this reality. It's pure foolishness. It's craziness. When you recognize something that you should do according to yourself, not according to society, according to yourself, that you think is sensible but don't do, where's the justification? If we were to stop right there, if we could beam down in front of Camellias in that very moment, stop time, right? We got this, there was a TV series, Heroes, and one of them had the power to manipulate time and space, right? They could stop time and go back in time and all this, right? Did you see that series or no? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, basically, I used to watch it long ago, but basically it's been a while. I don't watch TV.
Got you. So now if we add that power, though, I always remember that power. I don't watch much TV anymore either, but if we add that power and we zoom in there and we materialize in front of Camellias and you say, Camellias, I just heard you say, I wish I had the gumption and fortitude to do what you are doing. Letting go of our entrenched self is an accomplishment. So first of all, my takeaway from that is, Camellias, that you have a desire, a wish, an intent to do what, or at least an intention, not an intent, that you would like to do what Ursula is doing. But you say letting go of the entrenched self is a great accomplishment. Yes, that sounds really great. But where's the justification for this, Camellias? How do you, in your own conscience, justify not doing what Ursula is doing? What do you think Camellias might say?
Basically, first of all, I have a comment. We can bind time and stop time, and
please.
basically,
yes,
we
can.
We can stop time and bind time in our favor in many ways, basically. But people get taken by whatever is happening in their life, so they don't know how to do it. But for me, I usually live the time now, but based on my terms. So you can prolongate
Yeah.
time or
Oh
get it
yeah.
shorter
Oh
or
yeah.
whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Oh, I agree.
it's
For me, time is very fluid and very flexible. I do the same. I do the
it
same. You know,
doesn't.
I can get immersed in something and involved, and I feel like we like this now. I feel like we've been reading for maybe 10 minutes, and I don't know, we've probably been doing it for an hour or something. So
Yeah, basically, time for me doesn't exist. It's something basically
exactly,
human-made. I
exactly,
believe in accumulation and dissociation. Whatever we take as time is a change from a
exactly,
prior situation. So it's not
exactly.
something which get elapsed. So
Yes,
it's all present,
yes,
and the actions make the past and will make the future. This is
right,
what I believe.
right. In other words, time is a function of awareness. It's not its own thing,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly, because
Yeah.
a day on Jupiter or Mars or wherever you go is different from a day here. So
Yeah.
basically, yeah, a day could be a year there. So
Yeah.
it's not about the time elapsed. It's about what you
Correct.
make.
Correct.
uh,
Ah, there we go. Okay. I just like to keep note of those things. That's exactly something fine Noble might say. Time is a function of awareness. He likes to make these very concise uh, understandings, insightful understandings of awareness. All right, so I'm getting to this point, right? Where let's go back to Camellius. To say, Camellius, how do you justify not becoming a aspirant right here? You say I want to. It's a good thing to do. It's a brilliant thing to do. It's awesome. And at the same time, you acknowledge letting go of the entrenched self as an accomplishment. What is stopping you right now from making this accomplishment? Nothing, just habit.
Basically,
Nothing, just belief, fear.
not taking action. Basically,
Exactly. Because Camellius is in the habit, profound, deep habit of thinking about things, understanding things, intellectualizing things, because he's from an intellectual world, he's from a university world, right? And so he's an academic, he's a profound academic. And academics is all about all of the steps that lead up to or don't come to. The end result is application. Academics is all about everything else except application. So he's not in the habit of taking his understanding that extra step and applying it. And it makes all the difference in the world, which is why he's unable to go further, because it never even enters his mind to go further. He's so trained to think that if I understand it, that's enough. It's not.
yeah, he's into
It's not.
theory more than
It's
action.
not. Precisely, but he thinks that he's going to be changed by understanding the theory, and not so. This was the cliche of psychology professors, that they were good psychology professors. They knew all about psychology, but their personal lives were a mess. That's why they become, this was, the students would say, well, that's why they became a professor, because they want to fix themselves, right? That's why people become psychologists. And that was the issue for many of the psychology students. But the flaw in the logic was thinking that psychology, understand what it is, leads to actual personal change. No, it doesn't. You have to apply it to make the difference. Right?
Yeah,
So they
you must
kept learning
experience.
more, thinking it's going to change them. It doesn't do anything. Without application, it's all meaningless. And this is the core of Way of Impeccability and the core of the new nobility. They are in no way theoretical. None. They're all about practical. Their spirituality, they are deeply spiritual, but it's practical. Spirituality has to be practical. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. Waste of time. 70 minutes already. See? Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Norma. The screen looks better now. Oh, right. Yeah, because I made the one smaller. That's right, Norma. I forgot to do that. So brilliant. So I really, this was and this, Camellius, to just reiterate, Camellius and my friend are two different people. Yes. I took my friend's conversation. I was sharing the story with him, and he was commenting on the story. Yes, and I just built it into the story. I call it enfolding. It's a very deep process, and it takes a lot of work to do, because you have to basically rearrange the universe in order to make sense of a sentence, and that's quite tricky. But anyway, so they're two different characters, but in this point they were the same. My friend and Camillus both saw the profoundness of what was on offer, but they couldn't change. They couldn't change. So where was this? Yeah, in disallowing the universal input by replacing it with their own, they practically ensure failure, all right, of the project, but doesn't matter. So we can take this in that moment where he says to us, to Ursula, yes, you have to be as a child again, because that's the only way you can see that we are what we've thought a sense is actually a bit naive. Furthermore, that it takes gumption and fortitude to change, and to let go of the entrenched self is an accomplishment. But he doesn't do this, and he doesn't see that for him, Ursula is a universal input. And he in that conversation, right, he replaces the universal input with his own. Yeah, he thinks
Yeah,
his decision to not do what Ursula does is sensible when it isn't.
yeah, exactly,
Isn't that amazing?
exactly.
It's a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. So I think, Norma, also, when I do this, like I'm screen sharing now, right? Because if I don't screen share, then you don't see what I'm reading, right? And then Ramzi can't read with me. So, and then when I screen share, then him and I go a little small. And just the nature of the deal, it can't be helped, unfortunately. All right. So, yes, Biella affirmed, matching his resolve. I love the way you expressed yourself. Excellent. Thank you, Camillus. So you can just watch my hand in the corner of the screen there, right? I'll cue you with my hand. Ramzi, I'm
Yeah,
cueing
I'm
you
not
when
getting you best. Yeah, yeah,
when my hand goes, and then you read the next line, and that's your
yeah.
cue, right?
Sure, sure.
So excellent. Thank you, Camillus.
That was fun, Camillus Grind. I really enjoyed this revisit of our discussions so much more this time around.
Biella shifted her stance slightly, accommodating the importance within. It's a key part of the new nobility's process, Camillus. After any discussion, or often during it, we make a conscious and deliberate effort to determine our takeaway. That's what we call it. This is always done with everyone partaking in the discussion. It's essential. The takeaway serves not only as a summation and clarification for the person expressing it, but it also allows the others involved an opportunity to check what they have received, to be sure they have actually understood the way it was meant. We can easily ask someone if they understood, and they say yes, but how do we really know? Only with the feedback mechanism can this be checked for certain. The process of the takeaway itself is marvelous for locking in what we've come to understand from the discussion. The process of the takeaway itself is marvelous for locking in what we've come to understand from the discussion. When we hear back what we've said, it allows us to confirm or correct as appropriate. This applies to all in the discussion. Biella included the process of repeatbacks into takeaways to keep matters simple. Later, the finer distinctions would be elaborated. Biella continued, it goes further. We like to go over the same point with different people to garner as many perspectives as possible. We have learned a way of listening which allows us to hear the same point or story over and over. You've probably noticed some of the senior new nobles sitting in with the aspirants who are listening to another new noble. And the way they listen is as if they were aspirants again.
Yes, Camillus said, I did and found it most curious. At first, I noticed from a distance, assuming immediately they were sitting in as monitors or a double check system. But as I came closer, the attitude did not match. I had to stop and closely examine the situation. I was not able to come to a satisfactory conclusion without verification. I'm glad to have the opportunity. They seem to be partaking the same way the aspirants were. I could see no real difference. It's most puzzling.
Biella's laughter tickled across the garden. She enjoyed the way Camillus had portrayed the picture. Yes, that's about as close to accurate as it gets.
But why Camillus was genuinely puzzled. We take the idea of not ever assuming what we know is absolute, or that it cannot be improved upon very seriously, or
Oh,
even
that's
that
actually
it
Biella.
is.
Sorry, that's actually Biella. That's actually Biella. Sorry. But why Camillus was genuinely puzzled? Sorry. I should have jumped in there. Sorry.
No.
So she says, Biella responds, we take the idea of not ever assuming what we know is absolute or that it cannot be improved upon very seriously. You know what? Let me make that a little extra space there. Here we
Yeah.
go. Right. There is actually, but you don't see it in this format so well. In the book, it would be more obvious. We take that idea very seriously, that nothing is absolute, that cannot be improved upon, or even that it is valid. So whenever an opportunity arises, a new noble will clear their mind of their perspectives, joining a discussion fresh and open. Mostly the senior. All right, so let me just stop on this point. This is a huge point here that Biella is saying. So doesn't matter. It's not only senior new nobles. The aspirants will do it. Any new noble will do it. The whole society does this. Essentially, they will come and listen to a discussion, even though they might be resolved on it. Let's assume on this point of surrender, yeah, that we discussed earlier, right? And you may have come and finished, okay, I get it, I understand there's a nuance to it, it's a very subtle term, it can be meaning this way, can mean that way, it depends on the context, etc. Right? Nonetheless, when they come upon a discussion, they will sit and listen to it as if they've never heard it before. Why? Because when you come at things fresh, your inner understanding processes that information differently to what it does when it's truly new. For instance, if you take it from a computer point of view, if you've got a computer that's been running for a long time, the operating system has been updated and upgraded, and you give it some new data, it's going to process that data a little differently to a computer that's fresh out of the box, right? Because the operating system hasn't been updated, etc., doesn't have other data to draw on, and so on, right? So learning is somewhat dependent on what went before, or is influenced by what went before. It's not necessarily dependent. We want to try and not be dependent on what went before. So now they come and they set aside everything and they listen freshly. But they are listening without the baggage of data, but with the influence of their updated processor and processing system and operating system, right? So now you get to hear and make connections and jumps and leaps that you would not necessarily have made before, because you've already laid the groundwork. So now you're fresh to venture into new territory. So it's a massive thing, and it is a joy. It's a joy. You know, you can ask Bina on this. When we have participants come, and Bina sits in with me and, you know, helps me with Way-of-Impeccability. But even, you know, before she did that, I'd have, you know, people coming and we go over the same slides, the same material. It never gets old. You can ask Bina. It never gets old. It's always fresh, always something new. It's the same thing when I read the story. It's always new when you do it with that capital R reading, when you set aside, when you make openness for newness, for moreness to come. It always does. It's the most incredible thing. And sometimes stuff that's sort of disconnected comes. I call them come up takeaways, just random inspiration. And you think it's random, but then you explore, oh, I see. You make these massive leaps in the chain. Like basically, sometimes what happens is you end up, like you could think of it as space travel, right? Okay, there's some planets in this galaxy that I haven't explored. And I'm listening, oh, and then I make jumps to other planets. But sometimes you end up going through a wormhole. It's a fantastic process, yeah, and you end up somewhere else entirely. It's very, very cool. Mostly the senior new nobles will just listen, not evaluating, not analyzing, just letting what is being said come to them. Boy, what a huge sentence. How many people do you know who can listen and do this? Just letting what is being said come to them. Not evaluating, not analyzing, just listening. How many people do you know can do that?
Well, not so many. So basically,
Exactly. Exactly.
everybody basically
Exactly.
wants to react before
Exactly.
understanding anything.
Exactly. Watch people when they're listening, right? Norma, this is a very fun. You were talking about observation earlier, right? Now, this is where I enjoy my observation. I like to observe people. Observe people in a conversation, right? Doesn't matter what conversation. It could be you down at the IRS or some government office, right? And you watching this, or in the hospital, wherever you are, right? Supermarket, doesn't matter. Anywhere you see people interacting and they're talking, watch and look at it from this thing. Watch how the person is listening. Are they actually listening to the other person, or are they listening inside themselves to what they're going to say? That's most of the time, right, Ramzi? They're listening to what they're going to say. They're listening to what will make them look good, them look clever, them seem important, them seem relevant, whatever. They're not actually listening to what the person is saying. It's just there to connect to what they can say. And so they think, how can I connect what I want to say to what they are saying? That's their idea of conversation, right?
Yeah, most people basically listen to respond only.
Exactly. Or to, yeah, and it's not even a true response. It's actually a reaction. And really, they are
Exactly.
looking to say what I want to say, my agenda, and it's that little self agenda that Camillus was talking about. They're not looking at the bigger picture. It's a big deal. It's a big, big deal. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. It's most important. 1 second. I need to edit this a little. Oh, because I added that line in here. I see what happened. You see, it got a bit too big here, and it's crossing over the audio. So, well, we'll fix that. We'll just make the whole thing a bit smaller. There we go. Yeah, there we go. See, observation, being Norma, you see how important it is? This is when, if for those who are doing it as a course, they can listen to it. Like if you, because when what I'm sharing here now, I'm sharing in the program where I do it, and this is all the editing stuff. But if you come into it as the course, you'll just see it like this, and there the audio is playing. You see, now you won't hear it because my mic is cutting it out, but you see that, and then you can of course pause the audio and play it, and skip forward if you really need to, and so on. So it's very nice to have the audio as well. So, and which means you can listen to it in the car on your phone if you really want to. It's no problem. So important. Anyway, just fun things. Just a little bit of backstory for you guys. I like to fill in details like that because I always want to know them. And just how my mind works, I want to know. Like what's going on with all the stuff on the side there. I hide it so that I can. It just works out nicely. So when I do it this way, you see now all the comments come from this window that I made smaller on the side here, you see? And it's pretty cool. So I can see the comments and see what we're doing all at the same time. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. Never mind. All that I showed you there was totally wasted. I wasn't screen sharing. You got to tell me I'm not screen sharing. I can have it. Oh, well. Oh, it's always a pleasure, Norma. Always a pleasure. So I was showing this, Ramzi. I was saying, and then I didn't have the screen share on, so you didn't see. You see, when I pull it, all of this here, these are all the editing things that allow me to edit the text. But if you do this as a participant, you of course don't have access to the back end. You just see it like this. And then you see down the bottom here, you see there's the audio playing. You see? and you can pause
Yeah.
the audio and play and skip forward. So you can actually listen to this. Like you can go to this, like I have the links on it, right? So you can listen to it on your phone. You can just play it, and on your phone, yes, if you let it play here and let it run automatically, there is a place somewhere you can set it to do automatically. But or you can just every time, you just swipe it to the next screen, and then it will. When I go to the next one, it automatically starts playing. You see it
Yeah.
automatically. The audio starts playing. So you can read it and listen, or just turn your sound off and read only, or whichever you want to. It's just a nice extra bonus. Making that audio, by the way, it's a lot of work. So, which reminds me, I have to do it for the part of the gods that I added to this. So, we come to tasks and exercises.
The recording is in your voice?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I would love to get a professional reader. Yes, I know, like Norma enjoys my reading, and others too. But I listen to a lot of audiobooks just for my own fun and enjoyment. Um, it's already set up as a course, not eventually.
Yeah.
Norma, it's part of the Moreness project. It's one course inside the Moreness project. There's like was 3 major courses and probably at least 2 dozen little ones. So it's set up as a course, right? And you see, this is part of the course. You see, the tasks and exercises, they're already in here. So it's meant to be done as a course. But I'm just sharing it now for the purposes of not as the course point, but for the purposes of illustrating and sharing and demonstrating alternative paradigms, to say we don't have to just stick with the superiority paradigm. There are other paradigms that do exist, and we can get out of them. In other words, look at our interaction in our community, right? If I go elsewhere and I join into an interaction, right, and uh, like I'm on a Zoom or whatever, right, in a similar situation, what are most of the people that are doing, the guests or the people on Zoom or in comments? What are they doing? They're jockeying for position. They're looking to say, look how clever I am, look how smart I am. And they want to be as high as they can in this hierarchy of smartness, cleverness, sensibility, wisdom, whatever. Yeah. So they're competing without competing directly. No, we're not doing any of that here. I want to hear what you're doing. I don't care. And Ramzi, when you were reading, so you didn't know this word egregious, and you learned it. Right? In the superiority paradigm, somebody would never admit they don't know what this word is. And they would probably be very embarrassed. Oh God, and they would pretend that they knew it, or they would just read it as best they can. And sometimes they would even read it completely in a terrible way, and like egregious or something, and they just carry on like that's the way you're supposed to say it. It's like it's just idiocy. Superiority paradigm nonsense and rubbish. And like, look, when you said grind instead of grind, so what?
Yeah.
Do we care? No, we know this is not your language. And even if it is your language, I'll bet you if others read that is English speaking, they're going to mispronounce some words too. But when we don't have this issue where mispronouncing is an issue, we don't care. We don't care. You're free to do this. So what a joy. This is a different thing, that we can make mistakes. We can mispronounce. This is the paradigm where we don't care. We celebrate it. We celebrate the fact that you are willing to say that, because of course you're willing to do it because, hey, you want to learn. So you say, egregious, what's this word? I don't know. I have to go look it up. See, this is the honesty of realness, not the BS of the other nonsense, right? So this is the point of this. It's a new paradigm. So yes, if somebody, Norma, if they want to do, well, it's a story I wrote a long time ago, but I converted it into a course as well. So it's a standalone story without the tasks and exercises, but the tasks and exercises make it a course. Yeah. I mean, the whole book, I wrote this book a while back, Norma. I'm reading it as new, yes, because I never shared it in this way before. I just basically kept it to myself. I shared it on my blog, but that was still basically just for me, because nobody really paid any attention to it. I even posted it in Facebook, and sometimes the most profound things come our way and we are blind to it, and this horrifies me. Yeah, Ramzi?
Yeah.
I notice how people don't notice, like camellias, the profound opportunity. And you're going to see later on, it comes even back. I mean, it's the universe, this really puts it onto camellias. And he doesn't see it. He doesn't notice it. Well, he does in some part of him. And it leads to complications. It's fascinating to watch camellias' psychology. Absolutely fascinating. It's a very potent thing. So it is a new story, but it was written a while back, Norma. So it is both. It is both. It's new in that this type of story does not exist in the world, really, right? It's a different type of story. I mean, for one thing, just to classify this from an author point of view, it's very difficult to find a genre for it. The closest would be I made an effort to figure this out once upon a time, and there is a category for this. It's a revelationary, visionary, utopian fiction. You might throw philosophical in there too, but I don't think the category has philosophical in. That's an actual category on Amazon. Revelationary, visionary, utopian fiction. Yeah. So anyway, it's different. It's different. It's different. There are other utopian stories, but none that I've ever known that revolve around a society built around the concept of nobility. This is what makes it new and unique, and of course impeccability also. A society that lives this way. So, and this multi-layered sophistication, and also coming at it from where we get to see inside the wisdom source. We have many books where you've got the character, and then they have somebody that they go to and they learn from, and but you never get inside that person's head. It's always from the outside, so you never know how real it is. If it's just somebody saying, "Oh well, that sounds good," I want it to be real, to go inside Biella's head, right? As a source of somebody who is humble but sensible and wise and thorough and conscientious and disciplined and impeccable. Yes, but also humble. Biella is humble to a fault, actually, quite literally. We'll see that too. It's a very big deal. Very big deal. Very different story. All right, let's have a look at some of these tasks and exercises. Unless you have any more comments, always open for comments. Always open for comments. Love the comments. Share a third-person perspective on yourself, commenting on Camillus himself as a character and on his technique as if you had been there alongside Biella. Wow, what a fantastic exercise! All right, so I need to say something here on this, Norma, since you're talking about it being a course and a story. In this, as a course, as part of the Moreness project, the Moreness project first. It's an extension of Way of Impeccability, a continuation. So its full name is the Way of Impeccability Self-Expansion Moreness Project. So first of all, you have to have already done Way of Impeccability. And then you can get into the Moreness Project. And the intent of the Moreness Project is exquisiteness and exquisiteness of being. If you go back all the way to the start of the very first live I did in this series, it's about explaining what the Moreness Project is and everything that's involved. Right? So you can go back and look that up, right? And we'll explain all this. So exquisiteness is what we're after. And that's why the tasks and exercises here are really like extreme. They push you to the very boundaries of pushing yourself. So this first task here, right? This one here, this is not a simple task. I mean, if you were to take this to university and give it to the students, they're going to freak, say, what the hell are you? They would say, like, really, seriously, and the lecturers would say, no, that's too much, you can't be doing that, right? It would blow people's minds, this level of complexity and difficulty involved, right? And detailed sophistication. So you and I have to go inside the story and be a character there, a third person story. So I have to say, oh, Syl is there standing next to Biella and Camillus, and I have to comment on Camillus himself as a character and on his technique as if he had been there next to Biella. Wow. So I have to go and say, all right, from Syl, or let's just make a complete third person. I'm going to go as Joe. right? And I'm Joe there now, but I'm commenting. I'm like a writer said. Joe said, "Oh, Camillus, that strikes me as somewhat self-contradictory." That would be my comment here. Yeah, to say, you recognize the fact that there's universal input, but yet you don't act on the input. So, Camillus, I want to know from you: is recognizing input, universal input, is that enough? And Camillus will have to say, no, well, you have to act on it. But that question is the question that is one that Camillus does not ask himself. And it never gets asked in his world. So by Joe asking this, he's going to crack Camillus's brain. And Biella is aware of this, and she knows that she can't make comments directly as she normally would that are going to expose this hypocrisy in Camillus, because it really is what it is at root, right? It's ugly. It's hypocrisy. It's him knowing he needs to do something, but yet not doing it. Isn't that hypocrisy? Right? I mean, it's not the funnest way of looking at it, but this is the bottom line. And so she has a hard time with this. You're going to see as the story goes on. Her capital D diplomacy says, I cannot be a Joe with Camillus. So she shares the things that she shares with him very gently, because she realizes he's in this bind where he is aware, at some part of him, is aware that he's been a hypocrite. Yeah. It's a trauma. It's a trauma for Camillus, and we're going to see it unfold as trauma. It's a very big deal. So you see the power of this first comment there. It requires us to be very sophisticated, because it's not only going in as a third person, but we need to comment on Camillus himself as a character. And then furthermore, we have to comment on his technique to say, Camillus, I love your technique of commenting on yourself in the third person. However, we'll shift it to Ramzi. Ramzi, if you are only commenting in the third person, where's the value?
Well, basically, if you comment in the third person, you apply it in yourself. It's not only commenting. So basically,
Exactly.
you learn from it, and basically take whatever summary you need from it and apply it in your life.
There you go. But let's rewind. You see, my question was, I said, if you only comment, right, then on yourself in the third person, where's the value? So I said only. So obviously then the answer is, well, then there's none, right? But
There
you
wouldn't
just you went to the full explanation, right? And I'm just saying that when we go into that level of kind of fineness, it's a different point, right? But anyway, so yes, you made the comment there, which, well, I mean, my question would have been, well, then there's none. And you just went the other way and you said, no, we have to act. Otherwise, there's no value. Right, absolutely. And this acting, it's key to Way of Impeccability. It gets repeated over and over and over again. It's like a quote that summarizes Way of Impeccability. Without application, comma, it's all meaningless. Without application, it's all meaningless. That's exactly what you just said, right? So the value of your third person commentary is for you to come to a bit more detached, objective observation of what you can actually apply and do without the subjectivity of the internal baggage. Yes?
Exactly.
Yeah. Without the baggage of the internal subjectivity. And this is a big point that I think few realize, that their internal self, right, their usual typical self, has got so much baggage, like Camillus. He knows, he's saying, I should do what you do, but I'm not doing it. Why? Because of baggage. That's the only reason.
Basically, you can't be rigid with your knowledge and with your whatever is inside you. You must be lenient to stay like water, basically, to flow.
Yes.
And apply things basically each time in a different way, because
Yes.
Not a single way always works. So basically, there are
Yes.
many ways to work
Yes.
things out. So you must be fluid with your actions.
Exactly. And Biella would say, Mr. Najjar, would you say, in the light of your comment, if I understand you correctly, would you say that we need to be particularly fluid when it comes to personal change?
Basically, for sure, because at the end of the day, nothing remains the same. Basically, not your knowledge, not yourself.
Exactly.
Each second you're a different person. So you must basically keep track of this. You can't be considering
Yes.
yourself the same person all the time. So
Yes.
every day
Yes.
I wake up, I know I'm a different person. So at the end of
Yes.
the day, at the
Yes.
end of the day, whatever knowledge you have keeps
Right.
changing.
Right.
So
So,
sometimes you
so
think about something that this is the correct thing, and you discover in a year or two that it wasn't right. So
exactly.
basically, if you don't
Exactly.
go with the flow of your ideas and your knowledge and keep
Yeah.
open to everything from the outside, you wouldn't change and you wouldn't be able to get moreness.
Yeah. So now Biella is roping Ramzi into a interaction with Camellius. And Biella says, Mr. Najjar, I want to ask my question again because I had a particular emphasis. And I'm keen on your commentary, not on the general question, but on the particular emphasis of my question. I was asking, if I understand correctly, you were saying earlier that, or would you agree, or do you think it's sensible that we need to be particularly fluid when it comes to change, especially personal change? Is this
Yeah,
extra?
exactly.
Do we need extra fluidity when it comes to change? And we need to be
Exactly.
particularly okay. Now,
Because
why
change,
does Biella repeat this? Because she's making a point for Camellius's benefit.
yeah, yeah,
We need
exactly.
to
I
be
totally agree.
particularly fluid when it comes to self change.
I totally agree because change is part letting out whatever was
Yeah,
not working and applying new things. So
yeah,
basically,
yeah, yeah,
it is something very delicate in my opinion. So
yeah, yeah,
most people want to keep everything they learned inside and and learn new stuff on top. So it doesn't work like this. Because the more you learn, the more you should let off of ideas and thoughts that didn't work before.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Biella says, Ursula, she calls Ursula over. Ursula's been listening. She sees there's something on Ursula's face on this point
Yeah,
of particularly fluid when it comes to self change. Biella sees something on Ursula's face.
exactly.
Ursula, Ursula comes, says, if I understand this correctly, she does a repeat back. If I understand this correctly, why do we need to be particularly fluid when it comes to self change? Yes, Ramzi says we need to be fluid when it comes to change. But, well, if I get fired from my job, I don't really have a choice but to be fluid. If I'm not fluid, then I implode, I crash, I get into depression, whatever, right? So I have to, or my business crashes or whatever. So when life is changing, I'm sort of forced to be fluid. Why is Biella making a particular point to say we need to be particularly fluid when it comes to self-change? Oh, so if I understand it, my understanding here is, why is this important? Because self-change is somewhat voluntary. It's optional. When life kicks me out of my job, out of my relationship, or some calamity happens, whatever, right? It's not optional. It's not volitional. So I have to change. If I don't change, I suffer. But when it comes to self-change, I have the choice not to. And I can get stuck, of course, exercising that freedom of choice. So therefore, we need to be particularly fluid when it comes to self-change, particularly extra fluid, in other words, because it's optional. Self-change is optional. We don't have to self-change. Of course, have to is a fluid word. I mean, yes, we have to learn, we have to grow, we can stay nincompoops for the rest of our life if we choose. So we don't technically have to, but in another sense, we do have to. And because of that optionalness, because of that choice involved with self-change, we have to be particularly fluid, otherwise we get stuck, like Camellia says. That's why it's an accomplishment to let go of the entrenched self. The self gets entrenched precisely because it was not particularly fluid when it came to self-change. Yeah.
Yeah, but
If we have
still from
this
another,
special fluidity, we can't get entrenched. Yes.
yeah, from another point of view, if you don't change inside, nothing outside would change.
Exactly. Another reason why we need to be particularly fluid when it comes to
Exactly.
self-change. Because if we so struggle for change in our lives around us, and we don't realize that the key to it is inner self-change. The moment you change inside, the world changes. That's a profound
Exactly.
point. That's a profound point, Ramzi. Can you say that again, please? Make it into a quote for me, please.
Yeah, basically, if you don't internally change, nothing outside would change.
If you don't internally change, nothing outside will change. All right, hold on a second. I don't want to add it underneath the you know what? I think I want to add this as a quote to this, but I want to go, I think I want to add it there to where Camillus is making that point. Not yeah, right? Here we're talking about the new nobles and their takeaways. I want to go to that point on the entrenched self, yes? That's where this quote
Yeah,
needs to be added, right?
sure.
It's a big point. It's a big point. You see, Norma, why this is, it's a living story. It's a living program. All my programs are this way. That I add to them. All right, this is a quote. It's just an addition, but sometimes the story itself will change. Not often, but occasionally. Here we go. Here we go. Oh no, not yet. Right. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Say your quote again, please.
Yeah, if you don't internally change, nothing outside would change.
All right. I'm going to say if we instead of you, right?
Yeah,
All right. I paraphrased it just a little bit. Is that all right?
yeah, you
If
do
we
whatever
don't
you want
change
with it.
internally, well, I want to represent what you're saying. And I just like to kind of condense it a little bit, right? If we don't change internally, nothing externally really changes. And look, I capitalized the change, right? And I put in that really there because I understand what you're saying, but I think somebody could say, yeah, but stuff is changing all the time around me. But in the overall, in the bigger picture, right? It doesn't really change. You're just getting variations of the same underlying thing, right? So that really makes a big difference there. Yes.
You can change it as much as you want.
I know, but I want to represent what you're saying. Yeah. So we're doing a collaboration, yeah. But still, I'm taking your
Yeah,
meaning. I'm taking your meaning, and I'm just making sure to express it. Right. I mean, this is the exquisiteness of the program. So I appreciate what you're saying, but I also I want to get the essence of what you're saying, the real core, because it's a powerful point that you're making. It's a very, very huge point. And look how appropriate this river is, right? Because the river is always this analogy for things staying the same and changing at the same time. Yeah. Right. In the Eastern traditions, in Siddhartha, oh, the river, it's always the same, but yet it's changing, right? So
yeah,
now I have to
exactly.
attribute it. So let's see. Let's see. How about that? Now, why did I attribute this to Aaron?
Sorry?
Why did I? Oh, I'm not screen sharing. I'm not screen sharing. Sorry. So I thought I was screen sharing. See, I put it in capital C. If we don't change internally, nothing externally really changes. And I attributed it to Aaron A. Why? Why Aaron A? How did I get there in my own weird brain logic? Why did I make this Aaron?
Why?
Okay, that's a difficult question to answer because now you have to get inside Syl logic, inside Syl's brain. So first of all, when I make these quotes, I like to give people like names inside the story, right? Like a story name.
Yeah.
So the way I do it, usually I like to make it in some way connected to them. So I took R and N and I put them together. Aaron. But so you could say RN, okay, RN could be Aaron, but that's a girl's name. So I made it Aaron, which is a boy's name. Yeah. See?
Yeah, exactly.
RN, Aaron, you see? So,
Yeah.
but now I could even go, and if I want to make it a little bit, futuristically, I could do it like this. Yeah. Aaron.
Exactly.
See? Now, okay, if you now really want to get, there you go, Aaron. Yeah. Get even more. You see, like RN, Aaron, it's all right. Fine. And then the A is for aspirant. Yeah. Because we're all aspirants. So
Yeah.
very cool. You like that? You like that, Ramzi?
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. Just fun. I mean, I could leave it in any of these formats you choose. It doesn't matter. I could leave it as Aaron, just regular Aaron, or Aaron, or make it capital A, small R. It's up to you. Which do you prefer?
Basically, either way, it doesn't matter for
All
me.
right.
The most important
All right.
is what's
Exactly.
up.
Exactly. I mean, this is just fun. The attribution is just fun. And this becomes something that's now a character in the story. And if we go a little further, you see, like this whole file. And if you look at my slider here, you can see what a huge file this is, right? It's a massive file and got lots in it. But the name of the file is Biella series quotes. See?
Yeah.
So at some point in time, I can take all this out here and put it in a book in its own. These are quotes pulled from the Biella series, and it's just you've probably seen other books similar to that, right? And it's very nice to see that. And there's tons of value in this. I used to post this in the group at one point with the welcome posts. I would put it in there, a couple of quotes, but there's so little response in the group. Group can be a bit disappointing sometimes, unfortunately, in that, I think people aren't really interested in learning. They're interested in the idea of belonging to a group that kind of proves that they're learning to themselves. Well, I'm doing something that I am. But are you really doing something? No, you're just pacifying yourself. Yeah. So anyway, so this is fun. So now we have a new character in the story called Aaron. Now, could Aaron be Ramzi? Some parts of Ramzi will be in there, but also Aaron might develop completely different or might not. We'll have to see how it goes. We'll have to see. And that's the magic of the way the story is, you see, is that I can bring this character in at any time later on in the story, because the groups, the people are coming and going all the time, they joining the group and leaving. So I can always bring in new characters, and I love doing this. It's really, really fun. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So like our conversation earlier, where we had this conversation with Camelius and Biella, and then, I said, oh, here comes, I commented as Biella, and then you commented, and I said, here comes Ursula, right? And then Ursula kind of did a takeaway summary of what you had said. I've got that recorded as text. Yeah, I'll show you. It's not this one. It's the next window. There we go. You see, Ramzi?
Yeah.
Right? It's still busy catching up. But if you watch, it'll come to the end, and it will be, so I can go through this and pull out that dialogue that we had and then enfold it into the story, and put it Biella and the quotes, and Biella said with a smile, Ursula had a look on her face, and I could add all that type of, the narration part into it and bring it into the story if I wanted to. Yeah. Or take that conversation and move it into the next story as a memory, right? Where Biella's thinking back and she says, oh, you remember that time we were talking to Cornelius? And then they could have a detailed discussion on it, right? As a repeat back, as a go over. It doesn't have to be in this story, it can be in future ones. So very powerful stuff. Yeah. It's very nice, very nice. But, it's nice when you get inside the characters. Like for me, it just comes so easily now to start speaking as Cornelius, as Ursula, as Biella. Not so easy on Cornelius, I got to say. But Ursula and Biella, very easy. Yeah. Look, see, Ramzi Najjar, be yourself, be whatever you believe. So you're going to be in the summation. I don't know if you've seen when I post them in Substack, I add that summary that this does. It takes a summary of all this chat, and it says, Syl said this, Ramzi said this, and it gives a timestamp. It's very nice. It's very useful. Yeah, it's very cool.
This is an AI application.
Correct. Yeah. Well, first of all, it's regular technology which just does the transcription. Right? That's just voice to text. But then the AI does a summary of it. And this is one of the few places where I really like the AI, because they're not adding any newness. They're simply doing a task that would otherwise be a huge pain in the butt to do. Yeah. For me to go through 2 hours worth of dialogue and extract the key points, that's a job I don't have the time for. So I do this. I'll show you what I mean here. Let's go to another. No, I keep getting the wrong window. There we go. Oh, I have to finish this though. How do I get to? Can't get out of this now. This is the one from yesterday. I'm still doing. I'll show you in a second what I mean here. Oh.
No worries. If it's not working, it's okay.
Oh no, I just have to get creative. I want to show you that summary. It's pretty cool. I'll show Norma too. So yes, yesterday's one. No, this is Sunday's one, chapter 5. Ursula, I'm still busy with yesterday's one. So if I click on this, right, this is on, and you see it on YouTube too, right? I have I stopped talking, right? It says the title and then the summary, and then this part here, this is all what the AI did. See, meeting, and it says, and there's the overall, like a full encapsulation, and then it goes detail. You see, at this time, right? So at 1 minute 38 seconds, Syl shares more thoughts on touching the world. Remember, I was talking about that opening slide there where the person's walking and she's touching the fence, the wall, right? But she's touching the world, it's not just dragging. So I was talking about in the figurative way, touching the world. So if you don't know what I mean here, you can go to 1 minute 38 and listen to what I'm saying, you see? So it gives you an idea, right? And here we paradigm shift. So this is so helpful. This is so helpful. It's really cool. I mean, and look how much we cover. It's really huge. It's really huge. So that's what the AI does for me. It just saves me an inordinate amount of time. I would not have that otherwise. I would not have that. So very cool stuff. All right. Wonderful. I think we wrap it up. Yes, it's a good place to wrap it on. Yes.
Sure.
Are you happy being inside the story, Ramzi? Well, you're not going to be much in the story. You're just making a quote there. We don't know who Iron A is. They're just a character. We're going to have to meet them later on in the story because it's it's a little late to incorporate you into the story now. But there are still other books which are in process. This is a series. There are lots of them, so easy to pull you into the thing there. So Norma, of course, is going to be there too. Yeah. So we'll have to see. So Norma's initials are very fun because I don't know when in your schooling, but when I was at school, the teachers, when they would make comments in the margins, right, and something was important, they would put NB. Did they do that for you too or no?
For me?
Yeah, at school, when something was important, did your teachers
Yeah,
use NB as abbreviation?
nota bene.
There you go. You know exactly what it means, right? So NB, nota bene, which means note well. This is important. See, that's you, Norma. That's you. So, but we have to make that into a name. So we can't call you NB. We'll have to make it into some name, right? Like NB maybe, or NB. We could maybe go in like a comma N and then BE. You see, NB. Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see. We'll figure out something, or maybe we'll just call you Bene, right? Which is a nice name too. For beautiful, beneficial, important, beautiful, wonderful, right? So, oh, it's just a
Good.
pleasure, always, Norma. You know, just love you so. Just love you so. Isn't Norma just like a beautiful heart and a soul, Ramzi?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, I'm always in contact with her over
Good,
Facebook.
good, good,
We
good,
we
good.
we keep messaging each other
Yes.
basically.
Good, good. Norma's a joy. Norma's a joy. It's a
Yeah,
joy.
yeah,
Just, yeah, yeah.
she's a
It's
shelter.
like a world without the birds. It's a horrible, horrible idea. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Without
Likewise.
butterflies, she likes using butterflies a lot.
Exactly. Exactly. A world without butterflies and birds is a terrible idea. A world without Norma. Dreadful. Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
exceptional.
we may call you BNB, butterfly nota bene. Something like that.
Yeah,
BNB.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would work fine.
Yeah, well, I'll have to work on it, Norma. When the time comes here, I can't do it when I don't have the necessity to do so. When the necessity is there, then the name comes. You'll see. You'll see. Also, sometimes I give, like people who do Way of Impeccability, I give them a Way of Impeccability name, like Show Unbound and Lisa Unleashed and so on. You know, they get Erica Empowered. Those names I put a lot of work into, and like that name for sure changed so much in her life. It is very transformative. So those are different though. It's a different name. So a lot of power in names. A lot of power in names, right? We want names that expand us, that connect us to more, not limit us. Most of our names, they tend to limit us, not expand us. Yeah. So it's the same thing with understanding a definition. And like in the previous live we were on, we were talking about understanding the definitions. No, understand the conception, not the definition. The conception is open, broad, it's connected, it's always growing and evolving. You get to the real understanding of what it is, not the definition, which usually is very limited. When you look up a definition in the dictionary, we don't tend to realize that because of the nature of a dictionary, almost everything that's in the dictionary is by the very nature of the dictionary is somewhat inaccurate. Because when it comes to conceptions in particular, something like impeccability, the dictionary doesn't have the space to go into detail as to what impeccability means. So they are forced to kind of condense it and make them more or less. So almost always when you are looking up complicated terms in the dictionary, be aware that it's a more or less. It's not the last word on it. So dictionaries by definition are actually, or by just how they are actually inaccurate, not accurate. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah,
And you
basically,
think it through to the end.
searching it on Google would do a better job.
Yeah. Even better, if you really want to understand a term like impeccability or honesty or something, don't look it up in the dictionary, but go and look it up in a thesaurus, particularly a really good thesaurus. Like go to synonyms.com. You're going to see various angles. You're going to get multiple perspectives on this term. You're going to see it from all the angles. In other words, every synonym is not quite exactly what it is. It's almost. So you have to put all those almosts together and say, if I take all of this and say, what do they have in common? I get the term. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
very
good.
profound way of understanding things. And then, of course, too, you can think things through to the end and work it out for yourself. I fully feel that conceptions exist independently out there in the universe sometimes, or on their own, right? Not sometimes, but exist out there in the universe. And we can connect to that, but it takes some effort. We have to really take discernment to the absolute ultimate to really touch a term. And you have to look at it from all those angles to really understand it to the point of using it, practicality, knowing it. It can be done, can be done. It takes some work, though. It takes some work. All right, brilliant. That was fun, Ramzi. I love the slide that your quote went onto as well with the river, right? It's really beautiful. Yeah, very appropriate, very appropriate. Everything too wonderful. All right, I'll see you tomorrow, Ramzi. I love that you came on. This was a great joy. I wish Bina had
Excellent.
been here. I wish Norma would come and join us as well. Wouldn't that be too wonderful? All right, Norma, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I
exactly.
know Norma always says I'm pressurizing her to come on Zoom. It's just my personal love of you and joy of you, Norma, that I say this, but no pressure. No, please. You don't ever come on Zoom. That's fine. That's fine. I just enjoy it. I just enjoy it. I'm just greedy. That's all. I'm just greedy for more. This was great, Ramzi. I hope we see more of you. I realize sometimes
Thank
you're
you.
busy and, you're doing stuff and you're listening and you can't be here. But when you can, this is very cool. This is very cool.
Thank you so
And
much,
Norma,
Syl. It
if
was my
if
pleasure.
if ever you get an opportunity, get Ramzi to give you a tour of his home. He has a most beautifully wondrous, gorgeous home. It's a joy to perceive. Right? It's a real treat. It's a real treat. All right, Ramzi?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Syl.
All right. By the way, also, we've never had opportunity to do this. But next time you come on Zoom during a live, especially if you come right at the beginning, I'm going to take a little bit of an aside and I'm going to grill Ramzi. And I'm going to say, Ramzi, what the hell is this fancy pants book of yours all about? I want to know. So
Yeah,
you're going to
basically,
have to
whenever
say why you got an award for it. You're going to have to brag about your book.
basically, I don't like to brag. I don't like to
I
brag
know,
a
but
lot.
I'm going to put you on the spot where it's going to be appropriate to brag, because I do want to know, but I also feel like it would be nice to share, to say, hey, look, here's somebody who's got something. Listen up, listen up. So I like sharing. Sharing is important, and I feel it's important that in others seeing that, hey, Ramzi, I'm asking you to do it. You're not volunteering. I'm kind of pulling it out of you. In other words, others, you can come too, and I want to know about you. It's not just about me. Yes, we're reading my book, but that's not it. There's space here for everybody. This is the alternative paradigm. There's no competition. You sharing your stuff's not going to do anything to mine. Me sharing mine, and everything is wonderful. They all exist independently, and they all exist in collaboration too. Everything is connected, and it would be truly fascinating. You watch, mark my words. I have a really 6 degrees of separation. I'm like expert at this when it comes to conceptions. I can connect anything to anything. I'll connect your book to the story. You watch. I'll make what's in I have no idea what's in your book, right? You're going to tell me, and I'm going
Well,
to connect it to the Biella story.
well,
You watch,
it
you
is
watch.
it is related to moreness and
Of course, of course, of
spirituality.
course. Of course. So that's why, because I understand abstract thinking, so I know I can always connect it to the abstract. Because if you have the ability to abstract, you just abstract, and then from the abstract you go down again, and then you got it connected. There's just 6 degrees. Right? You go 3 up and 3 down, and you got 6 degrees. So I'm keen to hear, Ramzi. I'm keen to hear. When you come on next time, in the start of like whenever you come next time, if you come in the start, because it's difficult to do in the middle, but in the start, because in the start we have room to go wherever we want to go. Then we'll get into what Ramzi's book is about. And I know Bina would be most interested, so save it for when Bina's on. Well, save it for when Bina's on.
Sure,
She'll be very keen, and she'll ask good questions. So it'd be fun. It'd be fun
sure.
to get inside Ramzi's book. And even if you have if you do come on, be prepared to do some screen sharing where we can do some capital R reading of Ramzi's story. How about that? A couple of pages from Ramzi's story. You can pick them at random. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, basically, yeah, I have no problem with it. And basically,
Okay.
it's very abstract and spiritual. So
Fantastic.
if you
Fantastic.
if you haven't lived it, basically you wouldn't relate to it directly. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it has the universal logic behind everything, in my opinion.
There you go. There you go. So Ramzi, when you come, I'm saying have it handy on you on the phone or on the computer. You know, maybe join on the computer where you can pull up pages and do a screen share so that I can read from it. You see my point?
Yeah, sure.
Right,
That
because
would be
that way
great.
I would like to do a capital R reading of some pages from. We can choose at random, doesn't matter. It would be a fun thing to pick a couple of page at random or pages, and I'll just read them, and I can practice my capital R reading skills. To see also the other skill too would be to see if I can extrapolate in reverse, interpolate in other words, and go forward, and figure out what the greater context is from the specific. It's a very particular skill that I enjoy practicing. So it would be fun to pick a random page, and then we can see, okay, by implication, this is what came before, and you'll see. Just trust me, it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be very cool. Very cool. So I'm
Excellent.
looking forward to it. I'll be looking forward to it. It's part of our moreness here, is to do things like this. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. All right.
Sure.
Yes. And to end there, Norma says, brilliant, Ramzi, fundamental, universal understanding. Absolutely, Norma. All right. I'll see you tomorrow or whenever. No pressure. I'll just see you when I see you. I love it. I
Okay.
love that
Thank
you
you,
came
Syl.
on,
Thank you,
Ramzi.
everyone.
Oh, absolute
Thank you.
joy.
It
A
was
real
my
joy,
pleasure.
man. A real joy. A real joy. I truly, truly appreciate and enjoy your intrinsic humility. It's a rare gift. It's a rare thing.
It's
It's
my
a rare
pleasure,
thing.
basically, and this is me, basically, Syl. I learned
Exactly.
to become this way, basically. I wasn't
Exactly.
always like that.
Exactly. But I mention it because it's something I make a deliberate point to practice. It's Nobelia-Living, which I apply in my daily life, which is to,
That,
when I recognize and see something special about somebody, to say it. How often don't you go through life and you notice something and you say, wow, that was really cool, but we don't say anything? Why? Why don't we say
yeah.
anything? Like your humility. Your humility is something special. It is exceptional. It is something, it's like Norma. You know, I have to comment on it. I can't just let it go. Yeah, at least this is me, because I feel if we do make this a regular practice, like it used to be, like I would never think to do this. It would be really difficult way back when, but I learned to do it, and it's just, it doesn't take much, just a little bit of practice, and now it's like, oh, well, it's no big deal, right? But we think it's a big deal when we can overcome it. So if we lived in this in Nobelia-Living, where they appreciate each other all the time, not for purposes of ego boosting, but for purposes of appreciation. In other words, I'm saying, I see you, I hear you. That's a
Yeah.
huge deal, no? Yeah.
Most people focus on negativity and criticism only, and
Exactly,
they keep
exactly,
the good the
exactly,
good things inside. They don't basically express them,
exactly,
which is
exactly. And
wrong.
see also, exactly. And I appreciate your courage, your willingness to step out. Look, you read blind. You never read that before. And you were willing to just read blind. It's not an easy thing to do, you know, and you did. There's no problem. So, all right, I'm game. This
Yeah,
is a big deal. This is a big deal.
this is me. I go with the flow, basically.
There you go. You're an adventurer. You're an adventurer. But see, it's having that freedom of self. When we're not inhibited by this ego nonsense, then we are not restricted. We can do anything because we don't care if we make mistakes. We don't care to look. Embarrassment's not an issue. How can I possibly be embarrassed if I'm impeccable? If I'm sensible, if
Basically,
I'm sober? I can't be. I'm never going to do anything that's worthy of embarrassment. Never. Not possible.
I'm me
Right?
because of the mistakes I made in my life. So basically, at the end of the day,
Exactly.
mistakes
Exactly.
are a big teacher.
Exactly. Were they truly mistakes, or were they simply a different path to learning?
Basically,
They were just
it's
alternative learning.
both. Basically,
Exactly. But I mean, you know, you weren't
sometimes
trying
you
to make
do
a mistake.
mistakes.
It's just you learned. That's it.
Yeah, sometimes you act in utmost faith, and basically the
Exactly. I lost you. I lost you. The connection dropped, Ramzi. So I'm just going to end it there. I'm sorry that we didn't get to finish your sentence, but you've frozen
result
now. And
isn't in your
oh,
favor or isn't. Sure. Bad connection, Syl.
oh,
No
oh,
worries.
finish.
Yeah, and I
You back.
was telling
Finish.
you, people people err. This is our nature, basically. If you don't do errors in your
Exactly.
life and mistakes, basically you're not a human.
Exactly. Exactly. But I don't even want to think of it as erring. I just think of it as doing. We do and we learn. End of story. Yes, I mean, I have good intent. I'm impeccable. I make every effort to do it as best I can. And if I do and it doesn't work out, okay, I learn. Then I don't do that next time, right? That's it. I do and I learn. That's it. There's no error in my language. And on Nobelia, they're saying you will never hear them saying, "Oh, I made a mistake." Oh no, I did it and it didn't work out the way I thought, and I was quite surprised. And that was like, really, I learned a lot. They to them it's like a boon almost, right? They don't intend it necessarily, but they see the positive in it, the value in it, because they understand the concept of fortuitous mistakes, which is something we can talk about next time. It's a big deal. Fortuitous mistakes. Yeah. So yeah, grain. See, grain. Put that at the bottom of my summary for next time. It does that, right, Ramzi? It says to follow up on, right? And it says, oh, Syl said we got to do, or whoever said, right? So we want to follow up on this concept of fortuitous mistakes. All right. Bye-bye, Ramzi. Bye-bye,
Okay,
bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Just love
Thank
it,
you,
man.
sir.
Love it, love it. Too good.
Thank
Pleasure.
you so much.
Anytime, anytime. Bye-bye, Ramzi.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, bye-bye,
Bye, bye,
bye-bye.
bye. Bye.
End meeting for all.